If you currently own a Rift, is it worth it for you to upgrade to the new Rift S? Well, that's a $400 question, and let's dig into the specs to find out. So the new Rift has been announced at the GDC, and the reaction to it was rather mixed. It doesn't seem to be a giant leap from the current Rift, more of an incremental upgrade. As my friend on Twitter said, it's more of a 1.5 as opposed to a 2.0. It does come with very interesting features that I personally find to be very cool, but is it enough to actually upgrade from the original Rift? So first and foremost, the main thing is that we are done away with external sensors. Rift S is going to be purely inside-out kind of tracking. It is dubbed Insight, and it comes from the 5 cameras that are located on the device itself. To me personally, that is the biggest draw, but once again it opens up a lot of questions about how this tracking will actually work, and is it way better than the current constellation tracking that we have for the original Rift. Personally, I really want to do away with all the wires that are running up my walls right now and all the USB slots that are being used up by the sensors in my computer. But I do have the questions of how will this new Insight system perform under low light. Like, how well lit does my office have to be in order to be able to use this? And more importantly, how precise is it to the controllers, and what happens to the controllers when they go out of the view of the cameras? A few games I can think of, particularly Onward, where you actually have to go behind your back to grab a piece of gear, equipment, or a weapon to actually use in the game. And usually that's tracked by the sensors, 2 or 3 sensors around your space. But how will this work with only 5 cameras? Hopefully it is a more reliable system, because as we all know, it's quite a pain to set up the room scale for Rift with just 2 sensors. So if Insight performs really well, it's definitely a plus to upgrade to the new Rift S system. Having no sensors whatsoever is going to be a blast, and now Rift will be able to compete with Vive, I believe, in a room scale environment, provided your room is actually well lit. We still don't know how well this system will work under low light conditions. The tether on the new Rift S system will actually be a little bit longer. It goes from 4 meters to 5 meters, and it will be sporting a new DisplayPort instead of HDMI, and just one USB, of course, because we're doing away with the sensors. That also will help with the whole room scale environment gameplay. And the way to mark your play space area in a room is actually quite cool. The Rift S will be using a new system called the Pass-Through Plus, which turns your headset in a bit of a mixed reality kind of a headset, where you'll be able to see a black and white rendition of your room as you walk around it and set up the Guardian boundaries. The Quest, on the other hand, will only have the pass-through, meaning you can still set up the Guardian, but I'm not sure exactly how it works. It doesn't turn on the cameras to be able to see the room that you're walking around in. Now, the display system itself is actually changing from the OLED to a single fast switch LCD. That is, you're going to have a single screen right in front of you at a higher resolution per eye than the original Rift. But it comes at a bit of a drawback in the way that the only way to adjust the lenses in front of your eyes is actually electronic. On the original Rift and the upcoming Quest, to my knowledge, the way to adjust the lenses and their position to your eyes is actually manual. You can physically move them closer or farther apart for more comfort. Without having tested this system, I really don't know how this relates to the comfort level, but this is something to keep in mind. This new LCD screen and a high resolution will offer way better visuals for your VR games. But all of this has a cost of a downgrade in the refresh level. We're going from 90 on the original Rift to 80 on the Rift S. Of course, the higher the refresh rate, the more comfortable is the experience, but I'm thinking the drop in just 10 Hz is going to be mitigated by the fact that we have more resolution per eye and a better screen itself. Now, what I think is the most contentious change from the Rift is the switch from the integrated headphones to the integrated open-ear audio system, which for me is kind of a weird step away from the fact that Oculus was really known for their very good audio, and I thought they were trying to control the whole audio output by standardizing it with their headphones. But now Rift S is actually going open ear with a 3.5mm jack to connect your external headphones, which I suppose is fine. We can always connect our own headphones, but I think it's a bit of a step away from what Rift was trying to do before. And now they're trying to be more in line with what Quest will have, which is also the open ear integrated system. Later down the line, I see them releasing a special strap just like Vive did to connect to the whole headset. So that's maybe more of a business decision to try to sell you more peripherals. But I personally was really surprised to see the fact that there's not going to be integrated headphones with the Rift S. And lastly, with all the features that are coming up with the Rift S that caught my attention, what I really like is the fact that the headband is now changing to a more ergonomic setup. Rift S is supposed to be a little bit heavier than the original Rift, so now it will have a better headband to support it as well. As comfortable as Rift is, and that's what really made me choose between Rift and the Vive, aside from the price, was the fact that Rift was way lighter than the Vive. The most comfortable headset that I've ever tried was PSVR, and I think now Rift is moving more towards that direction in their partnership with Lenovo. They're taking the whole headband idea from them, I believe. So overall, Rift S is definitely a step up from the original Rift system, but I'm not really sure if it's really worth an upgrade at this point in time, particularly if you're very happy with your current Rift setup. So unless you really want to get rid of the sensor setup, the constellation system, and you want to have a better visual experience of your games, it's very difficult to justify upgrading to the Rift S at this point. If you haven't got VR yet and you're trying to decide, well, the decision has been made for you, because Rift, the original Rift, is actually not available anymore pretty much everywhere. I believe there's still maybe a few systems left in the EU that you can buy through the Oculus store, but everywhere else the Rift is sold out. So you have to go with the Rift S, and that's not a bad thing because it is a step up from the original one, and it's going to be a lot more easier to set up, I believe, than the original Rift, particularly because you don't have to deal with the sensor issues that many of us have had. Personally, I really haven't made the decision yet. I do want to ditch the sensor setup, and I'm kind of waiting to find out whether I can actually play the Rift S in a more of a low light environment, and how the audio will work out as well. I definitely have my eye on the Quest, and I want to compare the Rift S and the Quest in a different video, compare all their specs together, because they do seem to be very similar. Of course, it's a totally different ecosystem, totally different type of experiences that you're going to have with the two. But if I was to get a new headset, it will be Quest for sure. And I think I might stick with my current Rift unless unless I really decide I'm done with the whole constellation system. Aside from that, I think the only other thing that will sell it for me is the more ergonomic headband. So I'm curious to see your thoughts. What do you think? Is it worth to upgrade to Rift S from your current Rift setup? Keep in mind that the minimum and recommended specs are exactly the same for both original Rift and Rift S, so nothing is changing, but you do gain that better visual experience through the brand new fast switch LCD screen. So yeah, decisions. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'll be keeping you updated on any new Oculus Rift news that are coming out in the next few weeks, because we still don't know the release date either of Quest or Rift S. All we know is going to come in spring of this year. So sometime in the next couple of months, hopefully this will be released and we'll find out. By the way, both Quest and Rift S cost the same amount. It's $399 US. And yeah, is it worth the upgrade? Let me know. I'll see you in my next video.